remember seeing this program on TV where they were showing a film, and there was, at this point, there was no music in the film. I think it was a John Travolta thing. Anyways, he was in this piece and he was talking to this woman. It was no big deal. It did nothing. It just was people walking, talking to one another. And then they put this music in it, and I started to bawl, just like streaming out. So the power of music is everything. It adds the emotion to basically anything that's happening. My name is Russell Marsden. I've been playing guitar since I was a kid. I love playing guitar, I love singing, I love recording and producing. Started very young and had the pleasure and the honor of playing with some really great musicians. Not to drop any names, but like B.B. King and James Brown and Ray Charles and Allman Brothers and War and Chuck Berry and all these neat guys. My grandfather played piano. Here's my grandpa here. He played piano. There's my first electric guitar. But I started off, I just wanted to play guitar, you know, and for me it wasn't like Beatles or Banana Splits or nothing. I mean, we're talking back in the 50s, right? Mm-hmm. So what I heard in the house was Dixieland music. I heard country western music. And as soon as I learned how to play, I mean, I started doing this kind of stuff, right? Because of the country thing, when I was just a kid, I picked up this album called King of the Blues. And I had a picture of BB on the front with curly hair and stuff. And as soon as the album came on, I heard. That's the first lick I heard, and I was just a kid. And immediately I went, "Barner, that's the music that I want." Like one of my big heroes back in the old days was James Brown, and we had a soul band when we were kids. So all that funky stuff, I was really inspired by that, like the whole James Brown. All the crazy funk stuff. So we were playing that in the basement when, you know, other kids were playing, you know. Yeah, we were doing funky stuff, right?
Yeah.
It was just more what we were interested in. Started doing it, but I always played in all these different bands. I never really sort of did my own thing until I was married. It was kind of a bizarre story, but during my marriage, typical marriage, it was cool, but then it didn't work out so good, and all the inevitable stuff like the house and everything, going to the bank and everything. That's really good stuff for a blues guitar player or for a songwriter. And for me, I started to write this album just because I had all this emotional stuff to kind of deal with. And my buddy Dave Sawchuk, he brought over this gospel choir to record in the old house. And it ended up this incredible gospel performance in the empty house. You can see, you know, there's all the people doing their thing. And he recorded it all live on DAT machines, on digital tape machines. And basically what it did was, it allowed me to say goodbye, which was an important thing for me. But also it got the beginnings of the Peaceful Man tune, which became the first tune that I recorded for the album. Like, I feel bad that I haven't been here to do something with that car, man. Out of sight, out of mind, right? It's been 4 years since I've seen this car, and I thought about it literally every single day. I don't know why. Oh, it's me. Always has. Holy shit. Because I fought for this car in my marriage when my marriage split up. And I promised I would keep this car running, and, you know, I'm gonna do the right thing. You go through divorce, the bank takes the house, everything kind of goes away. But for some reason I wanted to save this car because I made a promise, you know, that I was gonna take care of this for as long as I could. And then all of a sudden I couldn't do it anymore, and I had no place to put it. It's in a cornfield. How appropriate for a blues guitar player. His car's out in the middle of the field somewhere. Farm field. Red house over yonder, where my baby stays. Sandro, he's a great guitar player, good buddy of mine. It was his dad's car, and his dad came over from Italy and became a house painter and was living in Vancouver. And he bought this car because it had a huge trunk, like a big mafia style trunk, and you could put a whole bunch of stuff in it. And he drove this car every day to work, and it was his way of showing the Italian community that he'd made it to the big time. He had a big American car, right? It was a big deal for him. And then he passed away, and his son, who I'm very good friends with, opened up the garage, and there's this car, and it's in perfect shape. It had like 50,000 miles on it. It's a 1963 Mercury Monterey. So I convinced Sandro to sell me his dad's car.
Keep on unlock my door.
I took my fiancée Suzanne on our first date in this car, and I remember the windows were all steamed up because it leaked a little bit, and it was always kind of steamy in the car, and she sat down and her butt got all wet. She said it must be a good sign. This is the kind of stuff, you know, this is another record right here for me. Sitting back in this car going full circle. The best records come from personal experience, especially if you're writing like a blues record, you know. It usually comes from hardship. You know, it's funny, like country music, you know, your truck dies, your dog dies, your grandfather passes away, and all of a sudden these songs emerge, and it's kind of the same with blues music too. It's all about personal experiences, right? This album, Dig Deep, has got a whole bunch of Mississippi Delta stuff on it that I didn't come up with, you know, from anybody else's music, Robert Johnson. I just put the tape on, let the tape run, and that's what came out. Well, it was 5 years in total to do the record. Then mixing and stuff was probably another. Well, what I did was I took like 1 day a week or 2 days a week, and I went into the studio, sometimes with no ideas, just make it a project. So every week I would add something to the pile, right? I'm a white guy from Vancouver. Why is my music being played in New Orleans? I got a hold of the radio director, and I said, I have to be honest with you, like, why are you playing my stuff? And he said, two reasons. He said, very simple, we don't play anything we don't love, and we don't play anything that we don't believe. So he said, we love your music, and we believe where you're coming from. The reason you do it is because you love it yourself, and you hope that other people do. And if people buy your tunes, then must mean they like them. So I'm happy with however it plays out. I'm cool with.